Well, hello everyone, and welcome to a member Q&A video. We haven't done one of these for a while. This is where I actually answer the questions that have been asked by the patrons and the channel members on YouTube. If you want to find out more, go to patreon.com/HubNut or look for the join button on my YouTube channel and you can become an official HubNutter. And then I'll do a post a few days out and say ask your questions, and then in these videos I answer them. It's a bit more relaxing for me personally. Trying to keep up with the questions in the live chat is hard work. I've really enjoyed doing those live lockdown live streams while we have been locked down, but now things are opening up again. I think it's time to move on. I'll have presented this video slightly early for those members and patrons, but everyone gets to see these videos because I don't want to hide my content behind a firewall. That's not how I operate. But I'm here in the back of the Delica. It is my mobile office. Today I have the laptop here, so without further ado I think we'll crack on with the questions. We're going to start on Patreon because I didn't get many, only about 6 questions on Patreon this time. Bit unusual. I asked for questions before revealing that this is the vehicle. So the first one is from Patrick Lawless, who says, is it a Fiat? Well, now you know it isn't. Steve Hallam, which car do you most regret selling, disposing of, with the benefit of hindsight? There's a few actually. I often mention a Tobacco Leaf Rover P6 Series 1 V8. A beautiful, beautiful car. It cost me so much money though. Trying to make a bad P6 good can be a very expensive process, and unfortunately I got entirely ripped off and paid far too much for a rubbish one, and then spent almost as much trying to make it better to then sell it for less than I paid for it. It was all round a complete disaster, but a very lovely car to drive. But also it's now where are we, 11 years I think since I bought no, it must be even longer than that, must be more like 12 years since I bought an Alfa Romeo 164 V6 Lusso in a gorgeous metallic green. Beautiful car, amazing sounding engine. And back then I didn't really know what I was doing with cars, even worse than I am now. So I sold it because it had a brake caliper that was seizing. And my 375 quid car, it didn't seem to make sense to buy a caliper, and I knew nothing about rebuilding calipers then. So I've come a long way since then, but getting rid of that car was probably a very bad idea. Finn Cow, if you could have any car from the past, but in brand new condition, what would it be? Well, it'd have to be something that rots really, really badly, wouldn't it? I would previously have said Citroen GSA, but I now have one which is rust-free, so that kind of negates that one. Any other cars that dissolve very, very readily? Yes, Talbot Matra Rancho. Yeah, one of those brand new, that'd be good. And he's got a cheeky wee extra, giving away his Scottishness. What do you think is the most poverty spec car with respect to people's expectations of it? I don't quite understand that. I mean, there's been many poverty cars over the years. The £100 Morris Minor, original pre-war Morris Minor, that was definitely a poverty car. But yeah, what the most poverty car? I don't know. I don't fully understand that one. I'm trying to record these in one take where I can. Oh my gosh, don't tell me that's a DHL delivery. If it is, I'll be amazed and very, very pleased, because that's parts for the City Rover. So if you'll bear with me, I'm just going to go and find out. Well, disappointingly, it wasn't DHL. This is a package they were meant to deliver on Tuesday originally, I think, and it's now Friday. They really do not do themselves any favours. Glenn Ree, if you had to cut the current HubNut fleet down to 2 cars for any reason, 1 daily driver and just 1 plaything, which 2 would you pick? His money is on Ellie and Tuck. That's a really tricky one. I mean, Ellie's obviously going to be there. To be honest, if I had to go to 1 car, it would be Ellie, because she can do everything. She can't do everything well, but she can do everything, whereas other cars, not quite so much. And the biggest problem with Tuck is she's a single-seater. And I now have more people in my life than just me, so yeah, that's problematic. So maybe it'll be Ellie in this for now, but we'll see. Hopefully it won't come to that. I've currently got 8 vehicles. It's far too many, which has led some, like Colin B. Power, to ask, do you think with the purchase of the Delica, and I do say Delica, I know some people say Delica, but that sounds too much like Toyota Celica, and Delica gives it a bit more, I think it's a bit closer because it's delivery car, so Delica it should be, maybe. That's what it's short for. Do you think with the purchase of the Delica you're going to have to dispose of at least one of your other vehicles? No, because my storage is cheap and keeping a car off the road here costs no pounds. I can just keep them indefinitely, so I will be doing that for now. If I lose my storage, obviously things get more interesting. If so, which one do you think would most likely let go? Oh, I don't know. I mean, the City Rover was the prime candidate to get rid, but actually my girlfriend really likes it, so and I like it as well, really. So again, Barry Davis, does this mean Foxanne is for the chop? No, it just means I've got to crack on and sort that car out at some point. But with everything still being up in the air, not just with various virus shenanigans, but also my life in general, the bigger projects are going to take a while to get to. A bloke over the road from me, says Rick Howlett, won the lottery and bought a Ferrari. I would have bought an Opel Manta. Am I normal? No, you're a HubNutter. Congratulations, sir. And that brings us to the end of the Patreon questions. And we've got a lot in the YouTube. I'm just scrolling down them now, all the way down to the bottom. And here we go. We'll start with Just Geert in the Netherlands, I'm guessing. I know there are cars out there that you really want to get your hands on and drive. What is the list of, let's say, your top 5? Well, I haven't done any prep ahead of this, but I will say, again, Talbot Macho Rancho, one I definitely want to get my hands on. Citroen SM, just because they're amazing. An MCW Metro bus with a West Midlands travel connection, preferably a Mark 1 with the asymmetrical split windscreen. So that's up to 3 already. 4, other cars, pick any car. Trying to think, there are so many cars out there. I'd actually really like to drive a later Volkswagen bus, Type 2 but bay window, bizarrely. I've got one of those on the books. And let's try and pick a 5th one. Ooh, yeah, 5th. I'd probably go for, what I'd really like to do is a late Sierra versus Mark III Cavalier head-to-head. I think that would be fun, because I don't think family cars and family favourite cars, both very strong selling cars, have been so different since then. One's rear wheel drive, one's front wheel drive, very different engines, just a very different package all round. Whereas you look at a brand new Mondeo against a Vauxhall Insignia and, you know, they're pretty much the same thing really, aren't they? It's just not great. So that's that one. Riku Savalainen, I'm guessing somewhere Finnish perhaps. What are your next year plans if the coronavirus doesn't mess them up? Next year, well, the Citroen GSA rally that I bought my GSA for has been moved to May next year. So that's certainly one of the things. But I'm quite tempted to go on from that and do a bit of a tour of Northern Europe, Scandinavia, maybe even Finland. We'll see. Definitely an area I want to do more exploring in. Preferably not in an H van, because that's what I did the last time I went to Sweden and Norway, and it was awful. Jay Spears just says he can't wait to see progress on the Tercel. That's going to be a while for reasons I've explained, unfortunately. But yeah, it keeps sitting there looking at me. The problem is, if there's any chance of me moving that car and starting the restoration somewhere else, then I don't want to disassemble that car. So at the moment, the prime thing to do was just to get her out of the outside and get her indoors. So that's been achieved. So that's all good. Mark Pitt asks, what country's domestic cars would you like to try out that are just not available elsewhere? Russia maybe, although a lot of those East European cars had odd cars that we didn't get in the UK. Japan still has a lot of cars that I've never even seen, let alone driven. Nissan Liberta Villa, check one of those out. That was an N13 Nissan Sunny or Pulsar, but luxurious. It had doilies on the top of the seats, or whatever you call them. I get told off for calling them doilies. They look like doilies to me. And yeah, very plush velour interiors. One of those would be fun. Tudor Smith, I've often wondered, all those nice folk that have let you preview their cars, have you ever had a mishap, prang or accident? It's a good question, and to be honest, that's what makes this job so difficult. Is I jump in someone else's pride and joy that they have very kindly let me drive, which I think is amazing. You just let this random person from the internet turn up, jump in your car and off he goes in it. And I'm very thankful, because otherwise the channel wouldn't work. But yeah, I mean, you're very, very aware. You're driving someone else's pride and joy. So, you know, especially with the older cars, I won't be hanging them off the rev limiter and testing the limits of grip. It just doesn't feel appropriate. With later stuff, 1990s stuff, I feel a bit more confident that it'll take a ragging. So I kind of will. That's just how I operate, because that's how I treat my own cars. But yeah, you are always worried. The only mishap I've had while recording a video was the time I was driving the Austin Kimberley in Australia, and it blew a displacer. That's probably the biggest fail I've had while recording a video. But even then I was able to limp back to his house and we could sort that out. And yeah, it was brilliant work of Kev to swap the displacer so I could conclude the test. Thank you, Kev. Still very grateful for that. Frank Voltius, maybe you can do a video where you go through all your vehicles and list all the jobs that need doing on them. Funnily enough, I have got a spreadsheet, and it's a fairly extensive one. Oh, that's the one for what I want to do on the channel. Oh, Mazda Bongo, there's another one I've had offered. I would like to drive a Bongo just to see how it compares to this, really. So yeah, this is kind of my spreadsheet of all the things. You won't be able to make out the detail probably, but it's quite a long list of things that I need to do. All the cars have their faults, and you know, I've summarized the Tercel as make it less rusty. And obviously that is a very big job. So some of these jobs are big, some are small, some I've managed to tick off. I've serviced this, I've replaced some dodgy bulbs, I've sort of got the screen wash working. So yeah, progress has been made. I'm just going to add something else to Delica, which is yeah, clean exterior plastics, because they look grim and they desperately need something. And I might even use it as an opportunity to try different methods. Peanut butter is meant to be good, boiled linseed oil, just getting a hot air gun or even a hairdryer just to get some heat into the plastics. It can make the oily stuff in them come back out again. I have got some proper trim gel as well, but they don't tend to last long. But yeah, maybe I'll stripe all the bits off, try different things. That'd be fun. Back to the questions. Where are we gone? Ali Mac Mechanical, out of all the Rover cars you've driven, what was your favourite and why? I mean, that's very difficult to compare. You think you've got things as charming as that P3 I drove in Sydney, the Rover 800 and SD1s I drove in the Netherlands. I've had quite a few different Rovers myself. I mean, I really liked my Rover 45 V6. I think if that car had had the 2.5 litre engine, so a bit more torque, I think that would be a really good car. So I still dream of building my dream 45, which would be a hatchback with a 2.5 litre V6 allied to the auto box, because I really like that auto box. S Rich GTR asked when the next collection caper was going to be. I don't actually know, because this was before I got this vehicle, but Jasper dropped this down to me very kindly. Peter Bollens wants to see the Daewoo back on the road. Oh, good on you, sir. It has been left out for a while. I was hoping to get the Matiz out yesterday after I'd finished working on this car, but by the time I got everything done and packed my tools away, because I'm a new man, yeah, the day had gone and there wasn't really time for that. I explored the pit instead. Noel Huggett, what goes through your mind when you see an abandoned, neglected car that could clearly be saved? His is a mixture of sadness and anger. Yeah, it is sad, especially when people go, oh, one day I'll sort it out. But sometimes fate intervenes. The Tercel I'd seen many times. When I set off on the Mighty Dacia mission, I recorded a piece at Machuntliffe train station saying, here I go, getting on the train. And what I didn't show is that I could see the Tercel from that car park. I didn't want to announce where it was because I was worried someone might come and try and damage it or steal it or something. So I was stood there, I could see it in the car park, and yeah, I never thought I'd get the opportunity, but I'm glad I did. And the sellers have still got a load of parts I need to collect. They've told me I need to get a transit van for that So that's good. I might have to hire a van, or maybe you can get some bits in here. It's a bit vanish, perhaps. We'll see. Let's see who's next. Noel Hersign-Eid. Yeah, there's a name. You get offered the chance to rent free of charge a house in an excellent area with garaging for a fleet of 12 vehicles. However, it is haunted by a poltergeist that will constantly move your tools around. Would you still rent it? Sorry, I couldn't think of a sensible question. Yes. Yeah, because frankly, I'll lose my tools anyway. It wouldn't make a huge difference. You put the tool down and then spend another hour trying to find the tool that was just there. There was a little bit of that yesterday, but not too much. Jack Howell would like to know my thoughts on some of his favourite cars, like the Fiat X19. Drove one a long time ago. Volvo 360, same. 480, done. I've done a video on the 480, you can go and see that. Peugeot 205 family, yeah, I'm very aware I need to do a 205. Not GTI, because this is HubNut. There are plenty of 205s, and they're all fizzy and wonderful to drive. Maybe the diesels aren't quite so fizzy, but they're still nice to drive. So yeah, need to do 205. Mark 1 and 2 Fiestas, yeah, definitely need to do. My first car was a Mark 2 Fiesta, and yeah, that'd be good to do as well. This is the problem. You start listing the number of cars I haven't driven yet, and it's huge. I'm trying to work out where to go next and what to do. Oh, yeah. Paulie Galtieri would like to hear my thoughts on the XJ40 in greater details, pros and cons. Pros, those Jaguars are just sublime to drive, especially down a twisty B road or an A road. The way they drive is incredible. The steering is perhaps a little too light, often a Jaguar fault. But they go around bends in ways that just make you think, I haven't got anywhere near this car's limits. They just feel so composed and so comfortable. So that's good. On the downside, the build quality is rubbish. The electrics are absolutely terrible. And they rust. So there you go. Rich Delgado says, to be honest, you also probably owe yourself a break. You've been doing a lot here on YouTube. It's true. So today, I edited up the video from yesterday. So yesterday I was recording the video on servicing this morning. I edited that. Now I'm recording this vlog, but at least I know I can have a lazy Saturday tomorrow. I haven't got to get up and do a live stream, so that's a bonus. But I do try and keep an eye on the comments, and lockdown has made that a lot easier, so it's going to be a bit of a culture shock once I start doing more and don't have time for the comments again. Aircrash Tupolov, what is your turn-to publication when researching for a new video on a particular car, or is there a homogeneous collection of info? Yeah, it's a homogeneous collection really. If I've got access to my magazines, I've got quite a lot of old road tests, so I will check those out. Although the problem is I don't necessarily want to read road tests, because that can affect your mind. It sets a level of expectation. I like to go in with no expectation, but it is nice to bone up on the history. If it's British Leyland, I will definitely go to aronline.co.uk and have a search there. Loads and loads of information about the British Leyland stuff. Some Chrysler stuff is on there as well, and I need to do a lot more Chrysler stuff. So that's a very good website. But yeah, generally I will bounce around various sites, from Wikipedia to get a basic understanding, but then you have to back that up. You can't just use Wikipedia because it's often rubbish. So I'll bounce around other websites. There are a lot of websites that do specifications, and you find the results vary, so trying to get exact figures can be really difficult, especially as different engines, different tunes, different markets. Yeah, it can be very tricky. I published the wrong information for this because I managed to select the wrong engine, but there you go. So yeah, trying to avoid mistakes. You can't avoid mistakes. I hate making mistakes, but it happens. Shane Marsh, I would like to hear in your words what went wrong with British Leyland. That's probably a topic for a vlog, and perhaps a vlog with some more input. I'd be quite interested to chat to people like Furious Driving. Maybe I Drive a Classic. Maybe we can actually have a head-to-head meet one day and actually discuss what went wrong with British Leyland, because it was quite a lot. Just having a quick pause there because an email pinged in from Francois, who is just warning me to be very careful of exhaust gases if using the pit. Yes, I unveiled the pit in my video yesterday at my unit, but I don't plan to use it, to be honest. It could be useful, but it's very treacherous down there, and there are various hazards like fumes, because exhaust fumes are heavier than the ambient air, so tend to sink into pits, and you end up not being able to breathe. So generally considered a bad thing, I think. Moving on to Paul Laters. He's interested in my thoughts on the Reliant Scimitar GTE and GTC. What are your thoughts? Yeah, I did have a GTC, an SE5A. Really, it was just the ultimate confirmation that I don't like sports cars, because I just found it too noisy. I was going to say impractical, but I remember transporting loads of bags of gravel in the boot of it. So it wasn't that, but it was hard riding. You had to kind of get down into it. I prefer climbing up into things rather than down. And it always had that mild kit car feel to it. And yeah, it just wasn't great. They were tremendous value though, so you could kind of forgive them their faults. These days they're starting to firm up in the price department. Phil Lacey, I presume that's the Phil Lacey I met at Horopito Motors, my friend from Devon. Are you planning to do any more videos on commercial vehicles? Yes, I would love to do more commercial vehicles. I haven't done any transits at all yet, and I like most generations of transit, so that'd be good. I'd like to do a video on an LDV Maxus as well. I used one when we moved house, when we first moved to Wales 10 years ago, and I found it far better than I expected, albeit the interior plastics were hilariously awful, so kind of City Rover bad, and the panels were so thin you could dent them with your fingers. Lloyd Vehicle Consulting, would you be able to tell us exactly how many more travelogues and road tests you still have to come from New Zealand and Australia? Amazing that what you filmed over there continues to last so long. Yeah, I've been very grateful of that, haven't I? Blimey. Yeah, I'm not sure off the top of my head, because I haven't got my hard drive with all the videos here. I have a feeling there's about 15 or 20 tests still to come from Australia. The XD Falcon was not the last. It was the last one I filmed, and I thought it would be the last one I showed. But it's just the way things have happened. I didn't want to hang on to that meeting Peter Anderson any longer. So that meeting Peter Anderson really was the last thing I did in Australia. In terms of the story of the journey, that is now at an end. I still plan to do a highlight reel. We'll see how long it takes me to actually put that together. Ian Taff, following on from your interest in buses, Metro Bus and Fleet Lines, it's definitely there. Do you remember the Leyland Lynxes for West Midlands Passenger Transport Executive had in the 80s and 90s? They were quick. Yeah, I used to live on the number 18 bus route. I've actually got a Leyland Lynx model from the number 18 bus route. Yeah, very loud, very quick, and to ride on, they were absolutely terrible, because everything rattled, absolutely everything. The screen around the driver, the plastic panels. Yeah, it was very, very Leyland in that regard. Absolutely awful. But yeah, they did make a nice thundering noise, the Leyland Lynx. Howard Levert, remembering your visits to Vale of Rydal, you've driven buses and ducks. Would you ever consider driving a diesel locomotive? Yes, and I can probably make that happen on camera, I should think. There's just something quite therapeutic about a lot of those old diesels. I'm desperately keen to do an in-cab ride in a Deltic, so that's an idea I definitely want to follow up at some point. We'll see if that's possible. There are quite a few in preservation. The opposed piston diesel engines, just remarkable things. Scott Fisher, what are your thoughts on the 505 Dangle? That would be a Peugeot with a Dangle 4x4 conversion, and yeah, I think they're awesome. Would love to drive one. Scottish Car Enthusiast TV, aside from cars, which we all love, what do you love to do to relax and chill? Mostly music is my fallback when it comes to relaxing. Although, of course, I have a lovely partner to spend my time with, and we go for walks and look at the beautiful sea, which you may be able to hear roaring in the background. That isn't wind, that's the sea roaring away. So that's nice, but yeah, music really is my go-to. Found a gorgeous piece of pipe organ music online the other day. It very nice. Love a bit of bass. I've got my Sony noise cancelling headphones. The bass reproduction in them is very good. So very relaxing. But I also got a cajon for my birthday, so I have a bit of a play on the cajon. I've got a ukulele as well I like to play, and a bass guitar I haven't touched since before I went away. I should probably bring that over at some point. Mr. Keyboard Commando, why don't you put a heart on any of my comments? Everyone else seems to get one and I'm starting to feel neglected. Oh, poor Mr. Keyboard Commando. It's usually because he calls me Buzzcut for reasons I don't understand at all, and he's usually telling me off for doing something wrong. So I don't love every comment, I'm afraid. Ed Hazard Morris, my question is my car HubNut or not? Or HubNut or HubNot? 2001 Audi Allroad. Ooh, second owner, and it's in New Zealand. Wow. Yeah, generally VAG products, Volkswagen Audi Group, do leave me a little cold. But the 2.5 TDI, that's a V6 diesel, I think, by that stage, or were they still 5-cylinder by then? Either way, it'll make nice noises. But it's not a car I'm going to get excited about. But the thing is, whether it's HubNut or not, I think you can get too carried away and going, is it or isn't it? I like cars, and I don't like most modern cars, but I'm generally a fan of cars, and I wouldn't rule out driving anything, really. There's cars I would prefer to drive and prefer to do on video, but I would never rule anything at all out, because you never know what's going to happen. I've got a road test coming on a Mini Countryman. Yeah, you weren't expecting that, were you? Car Nerd, idea for merchandise, HubNut tea coasters. I like the idea. Yeah, let's see if we can do that. Grader Floydian Sergal, who came to mind when I was offering tips of having nice, short, catchy YouTube channel names. That isn't one, but he does good things with a Talbot Alpine. In regard to your origins video, where did the Pachu come from? Ah, the Pachu. Don't worry, I'm still here. I don't really know. To be honest, I just felt the videos needed an ending one day and went Pachu, and it just became the standard, and that's my default go-to. It just happened one day. I can't even tell which was the first video. I bet one of you knows. And he's also got to ask, where would you like the channel to go in the future? Well, I just want it to keep on building, because my ultimate aim is to have a HubNut museum. So if we can build up to that, I'll be very, very pleased. I don't want a racetrack like Cletus McFarland, just a little car museum full of odd cars. So we'll see how that goes. Bicycle Hub, are you going to get one of the fleet going for your girlfriend to use? There is a slight issue in that regard, in that she doesn't have a driving license, but that is a challenge we would like to overcome. She can drive, she feels confident driving, but she's not very confident in a test passing situation. So yeah, this is a difficult one, because I'd quite like to film our exploits around that. I think it'd be some interesting storytelling, but also having had a previous partner heavily involved and heavily visible on the channel, I'm reluctant to go there again. There's a certain amount of privacy it's sometimes better to keep. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Things might change. Retronaut, if the British Leyland name was revived and new car production started in the UK, would you consider investing funds for shares in the company? No, because I'm not mad. It would be great to make our own cars again on a large scale. Yeah, car production generally is a tricky one. I mean, I've just been to Australia, where they've obviously found it very hard and killed off all car manufacturing. New Zealand was the same. New Zealand used to have an assembly industry, didn't make it entire cars, but it was still an assembly element, and that's all gone now. It's very difficult. I think cars have to be part of a global solution. So you've got to consider export markets, and you can't just sell cars for your home market. It won't work. Australia's proved it, Britain proved it, because export markets just died off because the cars weren't competitive. And yeah, we could talk till the cows come home about why that is, but yeah, I'm sorry, I would not be investing in any car company, to be honest. I mean, we might find that car ownership is a thing of the past anyway. People are getting so used to leasing now that the entire model could change. Have a look at River Simple, a car company startup in Llanddowror, Wales, in Wales, They're making a little hydrogen car. They plan to lease them out, and you just pay the lease and everything else is looked after. It might completely change the way we look at cars, so who knows, who knows. Robert N. Green, do you have any thoughts as to another HubNut social? I'm not even thinking about it at the moment. Until rules allow us to have such gatherings, there's not really much point having a think about it. We'll see where I am and what's going on when the rules are relaxed. Having said that, I don't know if it's a uniquely HubNut thing, but I think it's the case for, many of us aren't very comfortable in social situations, so keeping our distance is absolutely fine. If I come across as confident when you meet me, believe me, I really am not. I find social situations absolutely frightening. But it's been really nice to meet so many HubNutters all around the world, and it's all gone well, and yeah, that's helped build my confidence a bit, I think. Justin Reynolds, you have an epic car collection at the minute. Thank you. But what free cars would you love to add to the fleet given unlimited funds? That's going to look remarkably like the what would you like to drive next, really, isn't it? Citroen SM, if unlimited funds are there. Talbot Macho Rancho, but just because they're a non-left. I've just always been fascinated by them. I had the larger Corgi model of them, and a third one. Money no object. I think something big and American. I would love something big and American. Yeah, I've been watching far too much Cletus McFarland lately, haven't I? Because I really fancy a Crown Vic. Cauliflower McPug, have you spoken to Rich during lockdown? If so, how is he and the Dacia going? Well, I can do better than tell you. Here's the man himself.
Hi there. I hope you're all getting on alright with lockdown and whatever you're up to, wherever you are. I've not got as much done as I was hoping to, but we got a little bit done with the Dacia, and hopefully get some video across to you soon. Hope you're all well.
Well, thank you, Rich, for that update. We shall move on. John Malloy, where do you see the future of the hobby? Cars are so complicated now, and parts are tied to a particular car, so you can't get bits from a wrecker and expect it to work. Yeah, even car stereos are sometimes linked directly to the car, so you can't swap them. Manufacturers buying back cars with defective airbags. Witness Toyota, as we discussed with Peter Anderson in Australia. And CAN bus cars like the Mercedes-Benz W140S class in 1991. Yeah, keeping those older cars going is going to become very, very difficult. But then as the cars get cheaper, people start building on the they start sussing out the technology. We're seeing with electric cars, even Nissan Leafs, where people are doing replacement battery packs. So it might just be that the tinkering changes, but I rather suspect we are going to see fewer modern classics in sort of regular use going forward. I think it's going to get very, very difficult. So we'll see. Oh, here's a good question from Ohio Pete S2K. What is your favourite video that you've made? That's not necessarily a very easy one to do, because I massively enjoyed the Croatia road trip series. Really enjoyed the New Zealand to Australia series. But I think probably it's all the Invercar videos. I really enjoyed that. It's the first time I've taken a field find wreck and returned it to the road. And it may still be a bit rubbish because it was me that did the work, but nonetheless I did it, and massive sense of achievement, and it's lovely that so many of you enjoyed coming along for the ride. Michael Wright, have you ever driven an old-fashioned electric milk float? No. It might make an interesting comparison with the I-Pace, which would be fastest over the first 5 meters. I-Pace. And I'm sure you could be the fastest milkman in the West. Well, it's entirely possible, but yeah, I'd like to drive one. I used to ride on them as a kid. We'd just jump on and the milkman would take us up and down the road. No, mostly down the road. He wouldn't change his route. We'd have to walk home from the bottom of the hill. Declan McKay, thanks for the great Betty hoodie. It is so comfortable in the cooler weather down here. Were there any New Zealand or Australian bands you came across while you were down here that got your interest? Not really, although I did have fun joining a practice session for the Gordon Orchestra when I was in Victoria. and that was good fun. But I didn't check out any music at all. Bit disappointing, really. Consuela 1. Am I imagining things, or did I once see a car with wipers on its wing mirrors? No, that does exist. It's a Nissan Silver, possibly. I may have forgotten. There's also a Toyota that had side wipers that came up and just cleared enough so you could see the mirrors. That was Toyota Crown 2, I think, had that as an option. So yeah, the Japanese have done odd things with wipers over the years, because Japanese. Robert Barker, what is your favourite type of road? Mine is a nice long dual carriageway. Most of the pace of a motorway, but not as boring. I like twisty A roads. I love Welsh roads. I mean, it's exhausting when you actually need to get somewhere, but so much fun. Handbrake Bob, I have a bog standard 2003 Renault Clio 172 Cup. On a scale of 1 to 10, how HubNutty is this? Let's not get into that. Should it have a sticker? Well, yes, any car can have a sticker. We don't have a rule that you can't put a HubNut sticker on a modern car. It's all about showing your affection for HubNut, I guess. Robert Brink, tea. I am very much interested in how you brew your tea and which tea you use. I'm in the Netherlands where we do drink a lot of tea, but I found the tea in the UK much stronger. Definitely. You get that Lipton stuff quite often across much of Europe, and it's awful. It is so weak. Never needed coffee when there was proper tea. Yeah, proper tea, very hard to find in Europe. When I did the Croatia road trip, it was a proper struggle. I should have taken some with me, really. But then not everywhere in Europe is geared up for milk. Trying to carry milk with you in a car can be really difficult because it just goes off. So, yeah, problematic tea on the move. At the moment, I'm on Tetley. Have been drinking PG Tips, but that is quite strong and tends to leave your cups mucky. But I'm not too loyal to any one brand, really. A cup of tea is a cup of tea. Yorkshire tea, very strong. If you want a strong cup of tea, a cup of Yorkshire tea, can't be bad. And I love that in the north of England, there are tea vending machines where you have a proper cup, well, a cardboard cup. It drops a tea bag in, hot water, actual milk from a refrigerator, and yeah, lovely cup of tea. That's definitely a good thing. But yeah, increasingly fond of the organic teas, just because it just feels a better thing. But also the organic teas tend to taste nice. But it's just a proper cup of tea for me. I'm not into green teas, fruit teas, not my thing at all. And a good 3-minute brew is about right. Squeeze the bag, in goes the milk afterwards, and you're away. I only do milk first if it's a teapot. 3G, define HubNut. What kind of person, what kind of car? A person who doesn't give two hoots what show-off people are into, really. We're not about cars that say, look at me, look at me. We're at cars that basically get overlooked. And I think there's a lot of us who are like, well, why is that car derided? I want to find out for myself. And even if it is rubbish, you go, yeah, okay, that's rubbish, but at least I got to try it, had some fun with it. So, yeah, it's not all about the fancy look at me, basically. That's a bit of a strange one to say, actually, because I do love the attention the Invacar gets. And I love the fact she gets more attention than a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. You buy a Lamborghini or Ferrari, you'll get chased by teenage boys. If you drive around in Tuk, everyone is smiling. So I'd rather keep everyone happy. Shane Marsh, how did Pininfarina get away with selling basically the same car to so many manufacturers? Peugeot 404, which I tested recently, the Austin Cambridge, Lancia Flaminia, and someone else also pointed out the mid-range Fiats of the time, also a very similar look. I don't know, really. I guess it kind of was the fashion at the time. I mean, when you actually start examining each car in more detail, there's a lot of differences. But it does make me laugh that people were commenting, especially on the Wolseley video, saying, look at this, a proper car. These days, they all look the same. And I'm thinking, well, that Wolseley looks exactly the same as at least 6 of its stablemates. And it also looks similar to a Peugeot from France and an Italian Lancia. And yeah, just amusing times. But you'll be pleased to know we've now reached the end of questions. So there we go. That was fun. Got through those a bit more quickly than I was expecting. So yeah, in terms of what's going on with the fleet at the moment, the City Rover as you will have seen in the Delica video, is still languishing at the garage, awaiting welding and suspension work. They don't want to start that until we got all the parts. If DHL ever deliver these parts, I can get the parts up to them, they can carry on, and it'd be good to have that car back on the road. I haven't quite sussed out the logistics yet, because I've got a maximum of 2 parking spaces here, and I'm taking up both of them already. So something's got to happen at some point. We'll see. Lockdown make it difficult because I can't jump in a car with a friend. You're not meant to do that, different households. So yeah, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to overcome that one. It'd be really annoying to have to get my own car transported, but it may come to that. Or maybe I'll let the garage tackle a couple of the jobs on this instead, if I can think of any. We'll see. So yeah, that's the state with the City Rover. 2CV, I'm increasingly of a mind with a 2CV to tackle the work myself, and because I haven't got the tools to do a rear wheel bearing, there's nothing to stop me taking the drum off the car, the bearings all in the drum, and then I can take that to a garage. They can swap the bearing out and knock off. You need a special tool for the lock ring, as well as a tool to pull the bearing out. So it's all a bit involved. I'd have to invest quite a lot of money, and I don't see the point in investing money in tools for the back end of a 2CV, because wheel bearings are something you probably do once, twice in a car's life maximum. I mean, I've never done the rear wheel bearings on that car. It's been 20 years of ownership. So, yeah. And in the car, big project, because I want to pull the engine out. Toyota, big project. Reliant Fox really is a big project. I need to do a lot to make the Fox a lot nicer before I can take that on another adventure. And the Matiz, yeah, I need to get the Matiz out and assess it. Last time I drove it, I thought it was quite seriously down on power, but maybe that's just because it's a tiny engine, and after driving the City Rover for a bit, you get used to having actual torque. Yeah, and then the GSA and the Delica just keep going on the road, and we'll see where we end up. But yeah, thank you for coming along for the ride. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to speaking to you in another video. Don't forget, if you want to ask questions, you need to be a channel member or a patron. I'm not ruling out further live streams at some point, but they're not going to happen every week on a Saturday anymore. And the next one will be Wednesday the something. I am so professional. Look how professional I am. Where's my calendar? Come on, calendar, where are you? There we go. Wednesday the 10th of June, I will be doing a live quiz. 30 questions. I'm just going to read them out, and you can answer them at home. Mark yourselves. There's no prize. It's just for a bit of fun. And that's going to be 8 PM UK time on the 10th of June. So that's a bit early for you Antipodeans, I'm afraid. Should be a decent time for the Americas, hopefully. Yeah, I get completely confused with time zones, but I think 8 o'clock in the evening for us is kind of midday-ish for you. So hopefully that'll be all right. And yeah, I'm just going to read the questions out loud. 10 of them are going to be HubNut channel specific, so I hope you've been doing your homework, and we'll see where that goes. But otherwise, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in a future video. Farewell.